What's up, guys? It's Underworld Ministry. We're back. Just give us 1 second. We're trying to work out our sound. It was just working, but our stereo died.
You're good.
We're good?
We're good. I think we're good. Anyways, welcome to Underworld Ministry. I know it's been a couple weeks, but we're back.
Or
Did you guys miss us?
I missed this.
I missed this.
I missed you guys.
I miss talking to everybody. Do we have a comment?
No,
That's
no
just telling us that we're online.
So
All right.
we have a guest this week.
A guest.
Yeah.
Who's our guest?
It's kind of a complicated name that I can't.
The historic morgue of Ozark in Missouri. So, talking to this special guest, it's funny. She bought this property not even knowing what it was. She thought it was a church.
Yeah.
Come to find out, it was an old morgue.
Oh.
Well, what do you do with an old morgue when you buy?
I'd investigate it. That's just
That'd be us.
Yeah.
Yes. But she turned it into an Airbnb.
I'd love to hear how that happened.
This is our guest this week.
I missed you guys too. Sorry, we're trying to get our sound to work.
Give us 1 second.
There we go. So, our guest is named Alta. I think that I said it right.
Did you say it right?
I think so.
Let's find out if we said it right.
Yeah.
You did.
Say it right?
You did,
All
yes.
right, we got volume.
Good job.
I don't know exactly what just happened.
Our speaker died and then didn't want to turn back on.
As soon as we went live, all the sound went away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
welcome to Underworld Ministry.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So
how did you come across finding what you thought was a old church?
Yeah, how did it all happen?
Yeah.
So my mom's a real estate agent, and I saw that this beautiful historic church was available. It was on the market for sale, and I learned, someone told me, I still don't know if this is true, but someone had told me that if no one bought it, because it had been listed for a while with no interest, if no one had bought it, then they were going to make it a parking lot for the square, because our square has always had a lot of business, but not so much space for parking. So I bought it, and I was, actually, so I'll back up a little. We were inside of the church, and it was just beautiful. And I said, we've got to know an investor or someone that has the funds, and the knowledge to save a building like this, because it needed a lot of work. And because it was built in 1907, so it's very old. It had been just donation only for the museum, for our county museum. So it needed some love. So she's like, well, why don't you buy it? And I said, that's a terrible idea. Why would I buy it? That's what I'm doing. I already have like a lot of other projects. So I bought it.
Right.
Another terrible idea I did. And open an antique shop in part of it. But so when
I love antique shops.
Yeah. So we do hope to open it up later this year again, but
awesome.
COVID hit, we had to close down. We decided we needed something. So it's only been open just over a year. So we started last February, before February of 23. So So I said, it's an expensive building. We need something bringing in revenue to help pay the bills. And we had a lot of people that had wanted to stay there just from shopping for antiques. They would have
Right.
strange occurrences. They would feel something. They would see something, smells. A lot of people wanted to stay there. And I was like, let's just give them the opportunity. Let's
Yeah.
do Airbnb and see if anybody wants to stay. And they do. They love it. So.
Oh, do you get more investigators that want to come investigate it, or is it just random normal people that don't know it's haunted?
Everyone knows it's haunted. We have full
Okay.
disclosure. Yeah, our Airbnb link, which is the only way to book it right now,
Okay.
says, there have been strange occurrences. We do not guarantee that anything will happen, but if it does, and you leave at 3 a.m., no refunds, man.
Right.
And it does have a paranormal kit, so everybody that stays has the option to communicate if they want. And yeah, you can't deny, right? See, so when you walk in, you can't deny that it's creepy in itself.
Right.
But then we have over 17,000 skulls in the building that you stay in.
Wow.
So and most of them are on the sheets of the full bed. So
Right.
if you from where you walk into the entrance to the inside all the way back to the kitchen, it's modern, it's beautiful, but there's a lot of creepy decor, and so there's no hiding its history. I thought that wouldn't be fair to someone. So we just opened up and tell it like it is.
So if anybody wants to see what it looks like, this is the outside of.
Oh, it is pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I can honestly say that living in an old town in Pennsylvania, I would think this is a church also.
Yes. So
just by the look of it, I'd be like, yeah, it's a little community church, little old town.
A lot of morgues and funeral homes were made to look like churches to make them feel more at home and more welcome.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so it was a church. It was built for the Methodist, and it was the South Methodist Church. But then the Presbyterians used it for their morgue in 1910. And then it was later the Ozark Undertaking Company. And it was also the embalming company. And then it was Clever's funeral home from the 30s through the 60s. It was a church briefly again in the 70s. And then it was a museum for 30 years. So it's got a long history that is mostly for the afterlife.
Yeah. So this is the old town.
Mm-hmm.
Which way did you see? You said you can go down the street and to the left.
Yes. So if anybody can pull up a map of Ozark, Missouri, and the large white building in the forefront of the photo is the mill. So it's the Finley Farms or the Ozark Mill. It's a restaurant, and they have a couple of different buildings for coffee shop and such. The bridge, you would cross the bridge. So that'll help kind of show you where you are in Ozark if you look up the mill. So if you cross the bridge, which here it's the covered bridge, which was taken in a flood, but there's a gorgeous bridge there now you can walk across. But if you take that and go around the corner, which you can't see, it's cut off on the left side of the photo, and go past that barn, and then it goes up the hill, that tall square brick building on the left of the road is where our square is now. Right. So the morgue is just past that. So
yeah.
Yep. And our square has a lot of history and a lot of historic buildings that still stand. So it's awesome.
Nice.
Awesome town.
Now, we've talked to a couple owners that they didn't even know what the property looked like. Didn't even live in the town that they bought it in. Do you actually live in Ozark?
So I do. I live about 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes from the morgue. Yeah.
Nice.
People will need something or not know which door to go in if they're not familiar with the Airbnb app, because a lot of people want to stay there, but they've never stayed at an Airbnb. Right. So they'll create an account, but they may not be real thorough on the app. So I do have to assist some people in using it but I'm over there. I clean it myself, prepare it. So most of the time, there's been maybe twice this past year that I couldn't do it. And yeah, my mom helps me, my nieces help me. So, and to answer your question, the hearse does not come with it. Unfortunately, I do not own a hearse yet, but that's actually Six Killer Funerary Museum is down in Thayer, Missouri. And they stayed there, and man, their place is awesome. If you do get to Thayer, Missouri, it's not but 2.5 hours from here. So if you're coming up from like Memphis, Florida, you come that way, you go right through there. But it's an awesome place. So they stayed. That's their hearse.
Got ya. Got ya.
I want to go one. I just don't yet.
She said, "Dang, finger snap."
Right? Yeah.
Hey, Alice, we love you. That's a really good friend. So, please explain what this picture is. You sent it to me, so we didn't really get to talk about this one yet.
So, that is out front of the morgue. Every single brick you see, every window is still the same size. The same bricks are there. It's still almost exactly the same. The stained glass was taken out, but everything else, when you stand out front of it, you'll see, like, bring this picture with you, check it out when you come.
Right.
That's what I like to do, is stand in front of buildings and see exactly what it used to look like, what it looks like now, and just know that I'm standing where this happened 100 years ago, So when I first bought the building, I just thought it was a church, and I had to hire an architect to draw out the MEP plans. It was a requirement for the city to be able to open a business in there. So he was over at the building one day, and he said, "Well, I've got a photo of this building," which at the time I just thought church, "in my history book in my office." And I said, "Man, I'd love to see that. I'm all about the history of it, and I want to learn more." And he brought it over, and I read the caption, and it's a little fuzzy on there, but the caption says that this photo was taken at the morgue. It didn't say church. It said in front of the Presbyterian morgue. So then I was like, okay, I bought a morgue.
Excuse me, what?
So I bought a morgue. Okay. So
yeah.
Yeah. So
so your mom being a realtor, did she not have that information, or?
No, nobody knew. Nobody knew this. And somehow it was in this history book, but no one knew any of the history. So I'm the one that's been gathering information and learning everything about it. And our local historians didn't have information on the building. So to give you a little bit of the history, so it was built 1907. There was a church that stood there before this one. They voted in 1905 to rebuild. Instead of fixing the one they had, they rebuilt. So, and this I've found through newspapers.com on all of this information from newspapers dating back to the 1800s. So it's just me sitting at my little computer, just researching all this stuff. So yeah, so so it was the morgue, and then it was the undertaking company, and it was the Ozark embalming company, and then it was Klepper's funeral home. Mr. Klepper bought it in 1934 and renovated it. Yep, that's Mr. Klepper. I never met him, but I love him. So he saved the building, I believe. He changed a few things in the building and renovated and made it to where there was a newspaper article, which is how I learned all that he did with it. But he had also a furniture store in it, but he also sold caskets, and he also had Maytag washers, but it was a funeral home. So he
a little bit of both.
Yeah. It was Depression era, like whatever made money, that's what they did.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have some newspaper ads that show they sold flowers as well. So if you wanted to surprise your loved one with, a dozen roses, instead of a casket, you could do that.
Right.
You're at Klepper's funeral home.
Right.
So
I got a casket, flowers, and a washer, all the same place. Let's go.
And a couch.
And the couch. We're sad.
Right. And I bought you a casket.
Right.
So the bathroom where you stay in the Airbnb, the bathroom is actually the embalming room.
Wow.
So I learned that from that newspaper article. And it's funny because right before I found that article, I had bought an embalming room sign. And I just thought it would be funny to put it on the bathroom door. And then I found out maybe 2 weeks later that that was actually the embalming room. So I put an embalming table in there.
That's
That's
awesome.
funny.
Yeah, I found that online and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have it. I know it's heavy.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it here, but I have to have this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, did you find that at like a thrift store, or
No,
how'd you end up finding that?
it was on Marketplace. So
The
the
low
so
marketplace.
love it. You find the craziest stuff.
Yeah,
I was,
you do.
hello, I am also a weirdo. I'd like to buy your embalming table you're selling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and in that glass cabinet behind it, he's like, well, I have a lot of stuff you'd probably want. Do you want this? And do you want that? And it was like urns and glass gravity embalming
Wow.
pieces. And those are in that glass case too. So there's a lot
Right.
of stuff that people can see when they come there, not just the building and the history and the
The tools of the
Yeah.
morgue.
Yeah, it's more like a museum with
Yeah.
embalming table, the cooling table, all the tools that are in there, So
Yeah.
we also have an original handwritten receipt from 1922 for
Wow.
a casket embalming vault for a man his body was prepared there. And it was for this business. So it was on the north side of the square. So they get a little more history there and more like a museum feel.
Right. Harlem said, "Wedding present, matching caskets. How romantic."
Yes, how cute.
Well, matching caskets. There's
Planning for life and death.
Yeah. Why not? You stuck with me. No. Okay. It's all good. Talking about tables, you want to talk about this a little bit?
So those are just surgical instruments for part of the embalming. That's a cooling table that is.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the cooling table.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that actually folds up and it has legs inside of it. So it is set up at the end of the king size bed. So when you stay, this DNA filled piece of history is at your feet.
Wow.
So they would lay the body on top and they would have a large chunk of ice underneath and kind of almost like a canvas tent that came out and was open on one side to view the body, but closed in on the other side. So that helped to preserve the body until they could have their final resting day.
Right. Right. Kind of like nowadays we just put them out in the roller and put them in a cooler.
Yeah, same idea, but it was before they had the refrigeration. It's 1800s. So yeah, the head actually raises up. We don't encourage people to move it much because it is very old and
very old.
Yeah, there's signs on it that says, please do not sit or place any items on this. And we want to be able to share the history, but it's scary sometimes too.
Right.
Yeah.
No, the old stuff like this is irreplaceable sometimes. Sometimes you only get lucky you find this stuff once.
Right.
Maybe twice.
Right.
So this is, you said, the case for the embalming tools.
Yes, surgical instruments.
Surgical instruments.
These are embalming, either one.
Did you find this on Marketplace too?
No. So another story. When I was in high school, my mom bought a house because I wanted to switch schools. So she bought a house in this tiny farm town. It's about 30 minutes from here. And there was this one room that I wouldn't go in. So you'd asked if I was an investigator, and I'm not an investigator, but I've always felt things. I don't, well, sometimes I see figures, but I feel things. it's kind of, I don't know if it's an intuition or if it's a gift, but so there was this one room in this small house that she bought, and it was a very old house, really cool, very neat old house, but very old.
Right.
So there's this one room that she opened the doors and she said, I love this room. It's going to be my bedroom. And I took a step in and I said, no, it's not. I am never coming in this room again. There are dead people in there and it is a terrible feeling. It is heavy and I'm not ever going in this room again.
Right.
And I went in there, I think twice the next 2 years. She did not make it her bedroom, made a different room her bedroom. Thank goodness. And so
what did they make that bedroom? Was it just an empty room, or
it was just storage? So the woman was going into a nursing home and didn't have any close family, so she sold everything in the home. So some of the items in the Airbnb are actually from that home as well. So come to find out, long story short, like everything in the home was there. We were going through the shed and I came across these photos of bodies. Some of them were in caskets and some were in baskets and some were just laying with flowers around them. And photos that they took from across the room, you could tell that they were taken in that room.
Right.
So
death photos.
Yes.
Yeah. That was really big back in the 1900s.
Because people usually didn't have their picture taken in life.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't like these days. You just snap a picture of whatever you want.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. It was very rare to have a photo of your loved ones.
Yeah. They, the whole family'd be around them.
Mm-hmm.
And they would probably usually set them up or be laying on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I want to go when I die. All of my friends near me and take a death photo.
Prop me up.
Yes.
Put a beer in front of me.
We have a question. Do you all have original eye caps? I don't know.
Trocar.
No, Trocar. No, I don't have any of those. That would be neat, though. That would be a neat addition. Maybe I need to
that would be cool.
eBay and see what I can find.
Right.
Or Marketplace. I mean, who knows?
Right. Now, when you bought the property, you're doing the renovations and everything, and turning it into Airbnb. Did you have your own experiences while you were renovating, or?
Yes. There were.
Tell me a little about that.
There were a lot of things that happened. So, the first thing, so the basement has been storage as long as I know, even back into the 30s. A lot of people want to go in the basement, which we do plan to open that up. I can't say what month because it's a process and there's only a couple of us that are doing it, but we're trying to be able to open that up and the sanctuary where you can go in all of the building to research and investigate. But I was in the basement one time, but it's always been storage, which I don't know. Maybe there was something there in 1910 I haven't come across yet. But so I was in the basement and I felt an entire hand resting on my back. And it was just my right shoulder blade. I could feel every finger, the palm just resting. And it was almost like it was comforting me. And that's what a lot of people say that stay there. They feel a comforting feeling and creepy, but comforting. So
I can understand that. You said it was a funeral home. Maybe they're making you feel better, just more of a residual feeling.
Yeah, maybe. The other thing, so we had a heavy box that a barn, like a barn door had come in that just rolls to the side, and all the hardware was in it too. So it was a 350-pound box with the stuff in it, but the stuff was not in it now. We'd already put the door up, but it was still a pretty durable, heavy-duty box. And it actually rotated uphill in the sanctuary. So the floors are still angled. So when the church was constructed, that's how they constructed it. So you could see over the person in front of you. And a lot of churches are still built like that. But so the box was actually rotating uphill, like against gravity.
Right.
And I always look at every option to make certain that it's not something else. and there were no doors open. There was no breeze. The air wasn't turned on. There was no reason that would have happened.
Right.
Just yesterday, I was cleaning it, and the door, and I couldn't tell which door it was. It was either the kitchen door or the door to the sanctuary. One of them closed on their own. And when I turned around, I started recording, because you never capture things on film when you're, I need to go live in there really when I'm cleaning, and just like let everybody see what I'm seeing and hear what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But when I go in there, it's not like, I don't really want to be on film, because I don't, I just
right.
But I need to do it.
I'm in here with my hair back and sweaty, and
that's not how I want to be portrayed in the world.
Right.
But so, yeah, yesterday I was cleaning, and the door did that, and then I started recording instantly, because I knew something else was going to happen. I just knew it. And I walked back into the living room where it happened, and I'm like filming both doors. And then I turned around and I filmed towards the bathroom, because that's where I usually see a dark figure, is the bathroom door. I've seen one time in the kitchen, at the kitchen door, but then I heard footsteps, and I don't even know if they came through on the video. I need to look at that, but I heard footsteps after that. So, and I have a 24-hour live. I have before. So we do that on Facebook. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like all of it. But I need to go live on some more platforms as well. But it's tough, because I don't know when it's going to book and when it's not. And it's booking up. I'm grateful for it. It's booking quite a bit. So it's hard to get in there and keep a camera open where,
right,
you can see what happens. But when we did go live, there were shadows like going across the room that you could see visibly. And a lot around that church truck, the coffee table or coffin table, that's where a lot of the shadows were. So, and that was on Facebook.
We get a coffin table.
A coffin table.
So, if nobody knows what this is, do you want to explain what this is?
Sure. So that's called a church truck, like a vehicle truck. So a church truck. So they would put the casket on top where the glass is. So it doesn't usually have glass, but I did that for the coffee table. But so they would put the coffin on top and be able to wheel it from room to room. And funeral homes still use those. They just look different.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I want a coffin table.
Aren't they neat?
Sunset said, "I love it."
Thank you.
That's awesome. Oh my God. Alice said, "I'm jealous." I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Well, you can come stay and play with all this.
Absolutely.
If we ever get up there.
Yeah.
So, if anybody wants to know, so before we play all this, like, how was, like, before you did the renovation, was it like falling apart? Was it like, did you have to remodel it a lot, or?
So there were chunks of shingles missing. So there were a lot of leaks. I mean, not even chunks of shingles. There were entire sheets of shingles that were missing. So all of the inside needed to be redone with sheetrock, mud, plaster, brick, whatever was in there needed to be redone. There's new windows. That was expensive. So we're not a nonprofit, but we might as well be, because every penny that's spent there goes back into the building. So when I tell guests that I genuinely appreciate you, I really do, because it all goes back into the building, and everything, every penny spent there, right back into it to save it. So you're not just staying there and getting an experience, but you're saving the building too.
Got you. And then while you were renovating, were you like tearing walls down? Because there's a picture here of like all exposed brick. Is that original brick that you found while you're renovating, or?
Yes. So my electrician was putting up an outlet, and when he drilled into the hole, it was red dust. And I was like, wow. Does that mean there's brick? So we did not take any walls down. I was very particular about that, and certain things just were not something I would allow.
Right.
So the brick wall being exposed, I think, is something. If I were a spirit and I were there when it was a brick wall and someone had plastered or sheetrocked over it, I'd be so mad.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think exposing the brick, I think, is something that just needed to happen. So when I learned that there was brick back there, there was no doubt in my mind. So that neat piece of trim on the corner there is just one of my favorite things in there. It's small, but it's just, I don't know why it's there. Probably just for the plaster to stick to, maybe.
Right.
But man,
now talking to like other people about like spirits being recognized of that place, that's why you see spirits go through walls. That's why you see spirits go through stuff. It's their original path that they took when they were alive.
That's what they recognize.
After you remodel everything, you take that door away, you take that wall away.
Yeah,
they're still going to follow that path.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why they get all bent out of shape when you start remodeling.
Yeah, maybe. No, we didn't do anything like that. So Mr. Klepper in the 30s had a staircase to the basement from inside, because before there wasn't, but in the 30s he added that. So the only way I could put a clawfoot tub in the bathroom and a shower is to take that door to the basement out.
Okay.
And so the door that went to the basement was behind the clawfoot tub. So, and there's a lot of activity in the bathroom. So while you're bathing, just know right behind you,
probably watching you.
Is where
the stairs to the basement
went through. So yeah, enjoy your because and that was the living room. So that's another. Are they friendly? They are, yes. So there's one guy that stayed there, and this is the only experience that's been scary enough that, well, no, I'll tell you another one. But so there was one guy that stayed. It was before it was the Airbnb. It was just a friend of mine. He needed somewhere to stay, and I was like, he's a musician. He was sleeping in his car till he was waiting for his house to be up for available for him to move into. He'd rented a house, but someone was in it and then they were cleaning it. So I said, just stay there. It's better than your car, And so
I think every musician stayed in their car.
Yeah. So he did. He needed 2 nights. He stayed there one night, and then he slept in his car the next night. But he would definitely stay there again, just not by himself.
Right.
So I think our YouTube channel has a part of it, his interview with me, that talks about like his experience and the noises and how scared he was that he left and actually slept in his car instead of sleeping in there again.
Right. Wow.
We had some guests a couple of weeks ago that it was three locals. So we get locals and some paranormal investigators from all over. Some of them live here and some people travel from states away. So these women were local, and about 3 a.m., one of them rolled over in bed and saw this dark shadow figure move across in front of her. And she said, while it didn't feel threatening, it took all of the air out of my lungs, and it was too much. We left at 3 a.m.
Yeah, we actually have that letter.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So, came to stay for one night, didn't feel much energy till 2:30 a.m. until I flipped over in the bed near the kitchen door. I saw a tall shadow gliding by the door and across the wall. Never truly witnessed anything paranormal, but this moment was real and took my breath out of my lungs. We believe it was
the figure photographed.
Oh yeah, I couldn't see that part.
Yeah.
Under the glass shelves. We are leaving at 3 a.m. No negative energy, but it was still too much for us.
Yeah.
I
So
would be slapping Sarah awake and be like, hit record, hit record,
you
hit
missed it.
record.
Right. Well, if you stayed, you'd probably already be recording. So I do have some
Yeah,
the
true.
guest yesterday set up cameras and then went to dinner. So that's what I advise is
Oh, wow.
some things, set up your REM pods or whatever your equipment is.
Right, right.
It does come with a paranormal kit. So if someone doesn't have their own instruments, then we leave that for everyone to try. So yeah, they went to dinner and came back and had some activity. So there's there's a book, which that note came from. There's a book under like above the fireplace on the glass shelves. So when you stay, you can read through what everyone else has experienced.
Wow. So
that's what that
now
was.
to get back to the Airbnb part,
Mhm.
this is the inside of the Airbnb. It's absolutely gorgeous. You did a great job.
Thank you.
So how did you get into the Airbnb? Was it kind of just let's remodel this and let's see what happens since it's haunted, or?
So when I had the antique shop open in the sanctuary, people would come through to shop and they would feel something. I don't know how many people ask, is this place haunted? Because they would have something happen, or they would be able to sense something and they would want to stay the night. And we didn't have,
Right.
it's an antique shop. I didn't have, a place for someone to stay the night. We didn't have a bathroom, for a shower or anything. But so when COVID happened, I had to shut the antique shop down. There was a lot of back and forth on if we could be open, if we couldn't, and then county, and city, and state laws. And so we decided to close. And it's an expensive building, being a commercial building and right off the square, and utilities and taxes and everything. It's expensive. So I said, we've had people that wanted to stay here. Let's give them that opportunity. So I had booths in the back where the Airbnbs are now. So I took the booths out, and then we refinished the floors, and the bathroom was what took a lot because we had done fundraisers before. So we had the kitchen almost set up. So we, in 2019, we raised over $10,000 for local families, and we were just a little antique.
Oh, wow.
But we had musician friends that would donate their time, and we got food donated and just did donation only on the food and the bar and everything. So we ended up raising a lot of money. So we had the kitchen already. And I had another Airbnb that was nothing like this one. It was a nice, relaxing cottage, and in the downtown Springfield. But so I had experience with Airbnb before, but nothing along these lines. So I had so many people. I was like, let's just make this part something they can stay in and give people that opportunity they've been asking for 5 years.
Yeah.
So we started February of last year in 23, and people love it.
That's awesome. Now, do you have a lot of investigators come? Do they know about this place, or?
We do have quite a few investigators that bring their own equipment, and then some people come stay and they don't know what some of the things in the paranormal kit are. Yeah. So there's there's a spirit box. So when you first check in, the binder on the coffee table, there's a couple of haunted books on top, but the binder on the coffee table has instructions on how to use the spirit box. And then all the other stuff is pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, there's a decent little kit that has, a book to start says, first of all, just be respectful. And then there's dousing rod, spirit. And we've added some things since then. There's some cat balls and some the light up motion balls, the flashlight.
I love cat balls, by the way.
Yeah.
It's the easiest, cheapest piece of equipment I ever bought.
I know. I wish I had a cat sometimes to play with them, but they get played with at the morgue a lot. Just no cats.
Yeah. Right. Right. Now, do you get a lot of people that like just adventurous and they're like, oh, that's cool. This is a haunted morgue. And do you have a lot of people that leave at the middle of the night? That's why you had to put that disclaimer, or
No, it was kind of more of just a joke. Like, hey,
oh, okay,
no mid-stay departures if you get
yeah,
scared. We do have people bring their kids. So there was one kid that called his other parent to come get him because it was too much for him. They were hearing a lot of stuff. And then these 3 women. And otherwise, most people stay and they say that they, like most people that come want something to happen.
right,
And there's been a few people that didn't have anything happen either. It doesn't happen every time, but the ones that say nothing happened, several of them have said, but I'm actually kind of glad because I just enjoyed my stay and didn't freak out and didn't leave in the middle of the night,
right, right.
So, I would say most people do have an occurrence.
Now, what you say occurrences? What happens in that building? You said shadow figures. You hear voices. Anything else happen crazy or?
So the coffee table, the church truck will move on its own.
Oh, wow.
It's done that around, it's usually around 3:00.
Yeah. That's the dead time.
Yeah. And some people will say they went to sleep thinking nothing happened. And then they awake at, 3 or 2:30 or 3:30 to the lamp, the jewels on the antique lamp by the full bed. They'll clink together when nobody is walking, nobody is anywhere near it. That's something that a few people have had happen. The bathroom, 2 guests, different stays, have had their socks pulled down in the bathroom because that was the embalming room. So who knows what is hanging out there,
Right.
The kitchen, there's been footsteps in the entryway that you can hear. And then the motion light will go off and coincide with the steps that you hear.
Wow.
So Mr. Klepper that bought the building in 1934, he renovated in 35. So I don't know if he bought it in 34 or 35, but it was the winter of 35 that he was renovating.
Gotcha.
And he used to play pranks on people. And some of his family is around still in our area, and they've told me some stories of him. So I feel like I know him, but
Right.
And then when I saw the name Klepper, I reached out to a good friend of mine that's an engineer at the railroad, and I'm an engineer for the railroad as well. So he trained me on one of my runs. So I called him and I said, "Hey, is there any relation to this Mr. Klepper down in Ozark?" And he said, "That was my great uncle." And and this man's
wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty neat. Someone that I care so much about, and then he was related, and now I own his building. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So the
maybe you should get all the relatives together and come into the building to do a little investigation to see what happens. You never know.
So cool. Yeah. I don't know what their beliefs are or their religions, and I don't know. That's people.
It's still really taboo. People get weirded out about it.
It would be cool for them to come see what it looks like now,
Absolutely.
And I still get people messaging saying, "Oh my gosh, I got married at this church," or, so a lot of people in our area have memories of it and are appreciative that it's still there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's,
how would you feel about parapsychologists coming and documenting the building?
I'm not sure what all that would entail. Parapsychologist. So I'm assuming like a paranormal psychology.
Yeah, that's what she's really into. Mediumship. She's into psychic abilities and.
Yes, I would love that. A friend of mine is a medium, and she has been in there. One of our, is it TikTok or YouTube. I can't remember. One of them has a video, and she's there in one of the videos. But she said, so there were 4 of us there one night, 4 ladies, and she could see presence there, and then
Right.
she also knew she would get the pains and she knew their name, what happened to them, how they passed.
Wow.
Oh, and then there's another night I had a paranormal investigator, and a spirit came through. And I hesitate to say anything because if someone stays, I want them to have their own experience and
Right.
not let the brain
Go off of what this is. Yeah.
But I guess
Right.
I'll go ahead and say, so one spirit came through, told us that when asked how he died, he said fire. And when they asked how many of them there were in the building, it was something teen. We couldn't hear the rest of it, but something teen. Like, I don't know if it was 17 or 13 or 19. He knew the year, which it was right when they were doing some of the construction. So I figured the radio playing maybe local. He knew the president. The president was Donald Trump, and he said his full name.
Wow.
He knew a lot of current events, but said
Right.
that he said his name, how he passed, and then he said, help, help. And then he wouldn't communicate again. So I don't know what happened after that, but there were several of us. One went to the back of what is the kitchen now and washed his hands. And then another one stepped outside, and I got to the back door, and we all started smelling smoke. And we smelled it in every room. And it was so strong, I thought there has to be a fire somewhere. So I start wandering through, looking at all the, the outlets and looking at every possibility, and there was nothing.
Right.
So I thought, okay, there has to be, maybe somebody has a bonfire outside or
Right.
pit or something, So I stepped outside,
Right.
and you can't smell anything outside. So it was definitely coming
More of like a phantom smell.
It was wild. We all just we were just shocked. So we stepped aside to give them, a minute to kind of recollect energy, or just kind of getting out of their space for a minute, and
Right.
we weren't smoking. And one of the guys came up and he said, smell your hands. So I did. And the woman next to me did. And it smelled like our hands had been in a house fire for hours. It was so strong.
Wow.
And that was one of the craziest things that's happened that I've been there for.
Wow.
There was also,
I've never even heard of an experience like that. That's awesome.
It was crazy. So if you come and you smell smoke, that might be him.
Right. Now, did you said you did you get a full name, or you just get like a first name, or?
It was just his first name. Mm-hmm.
Got ya. I was gonna say maybe you could go back into like a records or something if you got a full name. That'd be a full circle.
Yeah, I may be able to. And in the glass cabinet, when you stay, we've got a glass cabinet that has merchandise for sale and some historic photos you can look at, and some little antique pieces for sale as well. But the glass cabinet in the kitchen, the church across the street had caught on fire. History. So that's.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so that's something that's interesting. No one except my mother and I and the inspector on the building knew that it had actually caught fire before.
Got you. So Alice said there is history of a hit fire in the building, and it was also crematory.
Yeah, I don't know that they did cremations.
Okay.
You would think that they did, because it was so much of the afterlife experiences that all of the care was there, all of the afterlife services were
right.
There. So did they
do crematory? Did they do cremations back then?
I don't know. All I've been able to find on records are burials, but that's just in my time that I've been sitting at the computer myself, mainly looking at history and who owned it and what it was, and So I don't know if they did, but yes, that would.
Yeah, Sarah is also empath. She's my little beaker. We go to like antique stores or thrift shops, and I just let Sarah go, and I follow her even during investigations.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're my little greyhound. Like, go.
Yeah.
So, do you have any of? Do you like spell like? Do you do like special events to promote your building, or
we do.
How do you promote on Airbnb?
So Airbnb, we really don't promote through Airbnb. We just, because a lot of people that stay because of the history of the building and the experiences that are there, but they will create an Airbnb account to be able to book it, because that's currently the only way.
Right.
So but we have, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. We're on pretty much everything. We post more to probably Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
Because it's just me. I try to do as much as I can, but
right.
Yeah. So for advertising, in October we've had a lot of magazine articles, but October, our two large news stations picked up stories of it and did overnight investigations. So
that's awesome.
Something that's helped. Yeah. And then we've got, there's always someone writing a story on it somewhere. So right now we've got one that's going to be nationwide, coming out before June. And then another travel writer is staying in April. So we'll have another story coming out. So everything we can do to try and continue to save the building, we do. It was built in 1907.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a church on the grounds before this one was built. So I'm not sure what happened before then. And there's a lot of buildings around it that have caught on fire. So It's even been from something else as well. But yeah, I need to, and I research just as much as I can. But as you can imagine, I stay pretty busy. So yeah.
If you want to book on Airbnb, this is the link, or this is the link tree to all your platforms.
Yep.
Is the Airbnb link in your link tree also?
It is, yes. So
awesome.
you can see all of the pages there. The media that I can share, the news stories that have been done, I post on there as well. So there are still some. I'll be updating that. So that's the best way to kind of keep track of what's happening. So is through the tree, because things can be updated all the time.
Yeah.
It'll be on there. Yeah, Airbnb. I mean, you can go to Airbnb and type in Ozark, Missouri. We are on the northeast corner of the square. So that'll pop up, or you can just Google Historic Morgue, Ozark, Missouri, and a lot of things will come up for you. You can see all of the photos of the inside and see what happened during the news station's overnight stay. Yeah, there's even, so I think there's been a few podcasts, YouTube you can go to and type in, and it'll bring up some stories as well. So, yeah, so everything we do may reach another group that wants to stay. And like I said, every days helps to save the building. So
absolutely. And I will share the link on Underworld Ministry after this podcast if anybody wants to find her link tree.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're big about para-unity. We love supporting places like this because if it wasn't for people like you, people like us couldn't go investigate it.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
we
so
love people like you.
we wouldn't be able to be what we are, and the building couldn't be what it is if not for people like
Right.
you that appreciate the buildings and its history. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I personally love people that restore the old buildings. Like, I mean, I feel like they've survived this long. I feel like they need a little bit of love.
Yeah, definitely. And we do put all of that on the on our social medias, show our appreciation for things. We'll show, like I learned through a newspaper article that the stairs were poured. So the concrete stairs that are there, I don't know when they were poured, but the original stairs were wooden. And we shared a photo of the front of the building and the wooden stairs, and you can see through the stairs to the brush behind, in early 1900s.
Yeah.
It's just neat. Like, I just love the nostalgia and the history and the architecture that they had back then. So we definitely try to show our support and love and gratitude.
Absolutely.
Still there, and people that like that will love our social media pages, because that's what we do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if anybody ever watches, I think we got one more comment. Sarah, unfortunately, she hasn't been feeling well this week.
Oh.
So she had to dip out. Sorry about that, but
Well, I hope she's better
she
soon.
loves everybody. She
Yeah.
will. She'll be all right. So I have a very special announcement that I would like to share before we get off of here. And anybody that ever watches the show, the question of the week is about to come up. So get ready. Get your popcorn ready. I want to know your answers. But this is a live premiere. It's our next investigation. Here's the video, guys. So May 11th, we'll be at the Arcadia Opera House with our good friends. You know them already. We'll be collaborating with them a lot more. We're so excited to get into that opera house. It's still an old funk. It's a very old opera house, and it's still functioning theater. So we'll see. I've never been there. We're really excited to go. We have a couple comments.
What state is that in? Arcadia?
Oh, Florida.
Florida.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like maybe an hour and a half away from Bradenton.
Nice. Okay. Let me know if you guys get to Missouri.
Oh yeah, we actually have a good friend that lives in Missouri that we want to come and see. So hopefully, I messaged her about if she knew where Ozark was, and she said maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours from you.
Yeah, we're right between Springfield and Branson, so we're about 10 minutes south of Springfield.
Got ya. That's awesome. Thank you to everyone who came to watch. Alta was as well. We appreciate your time and can't wait to see you next week. All right.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope you're better.
Now that you, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I just said thank you, and I hope she feels better soon.
Oh, okay. I'll go take care of her and I'll give her some cuddles after the show.
Yeah, she'll be all better.
Right. So this is the time of the show before we actually. Do you have anything to promote that you would like to share before we do the question of the week?
No, if you want to come stay, just find it on Airbnb, follow our social medias if you want to keep up, because we do post quite often and post history and facts and photos. And so if you're interested in any of that, we also share experiences that have happened with some of our guests. If they have a really outrageous story, we share that.
Right.
So, also, if you wanted a shirt that says "I survived the morgue," or a coffee cup, the historic morgue, We have those. We have a travel stainless mug, and we also
I'm getting
have
one.
koozies stolen from the morgue.
That's awesome.
So, lots of conversation pieces. You can
Absolutely.
messenger, and we can do orders that way and ship them too if anybody wants.
Got you.
Yeah.
Do you use Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, or?
Yes, PayPal, Venmo. If someone books through Airbnb, I can just charge through the app also. So
Okay.
pretty simple. Yeah, lots of options there. And then
Awesome.
I think we can do a card as well through Square. So
Got you.
yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you.
This is, oh, sorry.
No,
I keep cutting you off.
thank you for having me. Thank you guys.
This is the time of the show where we do the question of the week. I'd like to know your answers in the comments, and I also want to know your thought of this. Just because you do live or you have an Airbnb and stay in a morgue, and I can't get over that part. I want to go so bad. So here's the question of the week, guys. Everybody in the comments, I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your thought too, Alta. Do you believe that spirits know they have passed?
I believe some of them do and some do not.
Right.
I don't know what would determine that, if it's how they passed or if it's how much they felt loved, or if it's how much mourning is done by their family or what they have witnessed, or I'm not sure. I'll be interested in seeing the comments though on what everybody else thinks, and happened too suddenly. Yeah, that was kind of my thought, is if it happened suddenly,
accident or explosion or something, something that happens right away. Do they know that they passed, or they keep just living their afterlife like they've lived their life, and kind of like a sixth sense?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't even know he died, and he still went to work. I don't know why.
And The Others, one of my favorite.
The Others, yes.
That's such a good
I love that movie.
That's why investigating is so interesting, because you get to hear some of the stories and you get to talk to them and hear some of their needs and some of their thoughts, and that's what makes it so neat.
Absolutely. We have one more. Most of the time, yes, but I do believe some spirits. Yeah, I could see that. Definitely. Well, I want to greatly appreciate you coming on the show and speaking to us about your awesome morgue turned into an Airbnb.
Thank you.
If you guys want to go see it, go to her link tree. I will post it on the Underworld page right after this. I want to greatly appreciate you coming on and speaking to us this week.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you all for your support on the morgue, the story and the history and the experiences. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I want to greatly say welcome to the Underworld family, and maybe we can do this again and speak a little more about the morgue at a later time if you want.
Of course, there's so much more, and by then there will be more than there even is now too. So
yeah, absolutely. Maybe you can film some more stuff and we get some videos or get some live feed going on or something.
Yeah, definitely, we're going to be going live more often for sure.
Awesome.
So, yeah, follow us, and then we'll see you guys soon.
Sarah said, "Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it." All right. And remember, everybody, always stay creepy, friends.